good to see your faces. And again, if you're catching the replay, um, I am grateful for your time, whether we get to be together in person live or whether we are just doing this via replay. So I am going to put something in the chat box, which is each day you've had an email from me with some thought homework. Today is a little bit different. Instead of an email from me, we are going to set up a conversation to have together. So I am putting in the chat box a link, and I will also include it in the replay email. This link is to schedule a one-on-one conversation with me. This is like my thank you to you as a part of spending your time to learn this material and go through this training. I want to make sure that you have what you need to move forward. And so that call is just a thank you to you, let's take this and make sure you've gotten your big questions answered, and then you have your big action steps to move forward. So click on that link and schedule your call. This is just straight value for you. I mean, at the end of it, you will have clarity around what your next steps are. And if I think that those next steps are something that I can help with, then I will tell you that. But at the end of the day, no matter what, this is just a value mentorship call for you. And so schedule that. And be sure to click on that in the next 48 hours to schedule that call. You don't have to do the call in the next 48 hours. You just need to schedule it. That way we have it scheduled together. So we're going to dive right in. Monica, you're welcome. I love coaching and mentoring, so it's kind of a win for me too. So I want to revisit just for a second our past 2 days. And then, because those of you who are here live, we are going to tailor today's topics. We have a general topic for sure, but I want to make sure we specifically hit your individual questions. So day one, we talked about how do you create your method. We talked about how to understand what the problem is you solve, how you solve it, and how do you verbalize that in a way that your client understands how you're going to take them from point A to point D. So that was day one. Yesterday was really fun. It was how to generate leads. I gave you 3 strategies, take actions to put yourself in front of people, make offers, a combination of free and paid, and talk about your methods. So if you missed either of those 2 days, be sure to go back. If you need the replay link, let me know, but I want you to catch both of those because you really need to knock out day one and have your best attempt at clarity before day 2 is really effective. And similarly, for you to have day 3 today really pay off for you, you have to have done some work on those other pieces. Do you have to have the perfect answer? Absolutely not. In fact, I would rather you just have your best attempt at what your method is right now, and then go ahead and find some ways to put yourself in front of people, create offers, try things, and then learn and circle back. But don't skip it because it's hard. Do the work. And if it's too hard for you to wrap your head around, that's what that call is for. We can talk about it together. So today is you have put yourself in front of people. You've made offers. Now you have people in front of you, and it's time to either close the sale or send them on their merry way because they're not the right fit, right? Those are those 2 choices. You either get to have them sign up for your service, or it is a no. And maybe the no is from your end because you're like, this actually isn't the right fit. Or maybe the no is from their end. They don't want to do it. They can't afford it and choose not to do it. There's a no. So we're at that point. So today we're going to talk about how to close those sales conversations in a way that feels good and serves our client. And we are going to talk about how to maximize value. And what I mean by maximize value is you probably have heard the term lifetime customer value. And ultimately that's sort of like what a person buys from you in the lifetime of that they are a customer, from the first $4.99 thing all the way up to, your year-long $4,000 package or whatever. That whole value added up is their lifetime customer value. But that's not my favorite way to think of it. My favorite way to think of it is actually the lifetime value that they get I love to think about things like that because then it makes my brain understand that journey better. So, for example, if they just get your $4.99 thing, like the value that they would get out of that, it's not nothing. It's something. Maybe now they like know what to cook for breakfast, right? You've given them some sort of value exchange, where then the next thing that they're getting from you gets them something that's more valuable. Maybe now they have a routine around what to eat and clarity, right? And then maybe after spending a year with you, the value that they've gotten is something even bigger, more epic, right? Now you have changed their relationship with food. You've helped them with their diet baggage. You've like changed their whole family routine around food. That's the kind of value that I want you to think about when you're talking about lifetime value. Is there a financial part to it? Sure. But there also should be that really key part of that person's value increasing. So, as I promised, today I want to make sure this is tailored to you guys. So, I would love to know what your particular challenges are around, or maybe just like fears or obstacles with closing sales conversations and creating lifetime value or maximizing lifetime value so that they continue to get more and more value from you. Do you have anything specifically that you would like to discuss?
I've got something.
Sure.
So, less, not so much on the sales call, but with like a client whose contract is ending and what maybe not continuing at the same rate and level of service, but maybe something else to continue that value at a lower level.
Okay. I love that
so
one.
like, and part of it is I don't have the offer. But then I also I'm having a hard time around just the conversation in general.
Okay. I love that.
And part of that, of course, not having an offer makes the conversation difficult.
I love that one because that's on my list to hit today. So we're going to talk about that exact thing. Who else has a specific thing around sales conversations, closing sales, or creating maximum value? Jen.
So one of the things that I've been working on is to not coach too much during my sales calls. So that way it's like I want to help and I catch myself doing it. But then when I get to the point where I'm making my offer, I feel like I'm over complicating it by talking too much about the deliverables. Like we kind of talked about, I have like these 3 phases, but I'm using too much coaching terms like from Monday. But then how do I not coach during that sales call to make it work? Like obviously coming up, I'm going to hopefully get some consult calls. So I'm trying to coach in them, but then at the end, I'm still trying to sell. So like, how do you transfer through that question process to the sale more smoothly?
Okay. I like it. No, I like it. You're not the only one that feels wordy, especially in those kind of settings.
Yeah, especially if you're like nervous too, it makes it worse.
Yes, 100%.
I was on 3 different sales calls this week or today, and I just closed the 3rd one, but the other 2 were super wordy and felt like I was all over the place. So that's definitely for me too.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I want to say, at least within the gym that I work with, that I actually have a problem with. I have a really high success rate with selling. Like I close, I want to say 9 times out of 10. And part of it is that I have a really good connection with all of the clients that do come to me. I think for me, it's knowing how to say no to the clients that I know aren't ideal for me. So I end up having clients that I think, they say yes, I say yes because they say yes. And then we kind of get confused on where to go from there because they want something that's different than what I potentially am willing to offer, if that makes sense. And I think in part because I'm kind of still working through what my method is. So I think I can have struggles with sending them the direction I think they could be going that's not working with me right away. in that sales consultation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a really good one. And I know Jonah and Hannah brought that up last night, like how to screen people essentially on that consult sales call so that you end up signing someone that is going to succeed with what you have to offer. I like that. We'll hit that for sure. Anything else?
It's not so much as far as like sales stuff. I think it's more or less creating the conversations. But I think this is something I think you said that you touched on yesterday's call.
Mm-hmm.
But creating the conversations, it's the going inside like the groups or getting people into your DMs to have those like unique and authentic conversations. I'm such an introvert and it's hard for me to like fully socialize and create it without me feeling like I'm that awkward girl. Like I rather talk about boob sweat than it is like right, just whatever it is to connect with them. Like I'm just that kind of person. So I guess like a better approach in that aspect of creating those authentic conversations.
Mm-hmm. And we'll get you last night too, which I think will help. Hang on one second. I'm going to pull this blinds down. I think last night will help because I gave some examples of how, but maybe we'll just start there. So first off, I personally believe that if you have a freak flag, you should fly it. And so if you're somebody who is weird and awkward and you try to be anything but that, people will know. And so you have to find the mix of like sharing it and just kind of owning it. And then also having it be to serve the person you're trying to connect with, because that's the point. Right. And so if you feel more inclined to talk about boob sweat, then talk about it. If you like to talk about like, which leggings don't show your butt when you sweat through your, ass crack, then talk about that. I promise, you know what I mean? Like people want to have those kind of conversations too. And especially if that's just authentically you, then you just got to go with that. If you are a nerd alert and you love to nerd out on topics that you've just spent like 3 days reading about the hormone, blah, 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 you're not going to be able to hide that. You got to own it, And so I think taking that and then translating into how does this create a conversation for my ideal person that we can talk about? So for example, like say you're talking about boob sweat, and you're like, how many people immediately have to change their sports bra as soon as they finish a workout because they cannot handle the boob sweat, drop an emoji below. And then now you've started, even if it's just very casual and silly, a conversation around exercise. And then from there, it can become, this is what we talked about last night, which is why it's a good revisit, some kind of offer. They exercise. Well, maybe you have something that's helpful. So, hey, would you be interested in my like post-workout, recovery shake, that my favorite one, I can send it to you. Jen and I were talking about this today. Something that you think they'd be into. Well, now you have an offer. So then they say they take that offer and they're like, hey, thank you so much for sending me that. I really liked it. And I actually feel a whole hell of a lot better now that I'm drinking a post-workout shake. Then it is, why are you here? So this is my favorite sequence of questions that lead to a sales call. Why did you join this group? Like if it's a Facebook group, or why did you want my thing, my shake thing? Are you working on a specific goal right now? Are you just generally trying to like be healthy and work out better? Whatever it is that relates to you, ask them why they are here. What is their goal? That is important. It's not weird. They're in your space. They've come to your seminar. They've downloaded your thing. What are you working on right now? You can ask them, have they tried anything else recently? They're like, oh, I'm trying to lose 20 pounds. And you're like, have you tried anything recently to help you lose weight? That's, again, you can translate that into anything. Have you tried anything else recently? And then I like to ask, what do you think is your biggest challenge for you to get there on your own? Like, why haven't you done this already? Really? Then they're telling you, well, I suck at consistency. I'm blah, blah, blah. You need about 3 questions to make that conversation one that tells you it's time for a call. If they've answered all those things and they word dump on you, it's time for a call. If they start telling you all their diet history, if they start telling you all the reasons why their body hurts when they're working out, if they start telling you all their baggage, they're asking for you to offer them a phone call. Don't think otherwise. People do not word dump on you unless they want you to offer something, like to help them. And so I just like to say, would it be helpful for us to hop on a call and I can ask you a couple more questions about this and you can explain to me what's going on, and then I can give you some information on how I can help, or at least I can point you in the right direction. The same exact way I said it to you guys 5 minutes ago. We can do a call. I'm going to help you. I'm going to understand what's going on with your business. I'm going to do the best I can to point you in the right direction. If it makes sense, I will make you an offer on how I can help. But either way, I'm going to help you. We're going to have a good call. And so you do that. Now you've got them on the phone. So does that kind of help how you go from like a silly boob sweat post all the way to a phone call?
It does. It does.
Okay. And so then you can run that sequence any sort of way. I've done it with polls. I've done it with freebies. I've done it with live trainings. I've done it with just Facebook Lives. It works. Because if people are like me, they're telling you, raise their hand, me, I have a problem with blah, blah, blah. And then you just say like, what are you working on right now? What's your goal? They'll tell you. And that leads to a more private conversation, which leads you to a phone call. And so now you're on your phone call, right? We're going to transition to that part about being wordy, that part about, how to decide if they're your ideal client, right? That's where we're at right now, and hopefully have them sign up. So 1, they need to be on a phone call. Don't try to do this on DM. If you don't care about the outcome, then do it on DM. But if you actually want this person to sign up or get help, right? Like, and I like to think about it that way. I'm personally not driven by like making the hard sale. Even though I want people to sign up for my stuff, that doesn't like motivate me the same way. I start to get weird and like self-doubty and like introspective, but I am motivated by helping people. And so when I think about, is me taking this conversation with them too far on DM helping them or hurting them? The answer is it's hurting them. If I don't get them to a phone call, their kid is going to start interrupting them. They are going to see a pop-up of they got an email. They are going to go away. I am not helping them by having this conversation go too far over DM. I need to get them on a phone call, because on a phone call now I have their attention and we can actually talk. So that's how I think about it. If somebody is like, hey, can you tell me your prices? I am not helping them by telling them my prices so they can talk themselves out of it before they have even had a chance to tell me what's going on. So I don't tell them. I tell them that I'd like to have a conversation with them about it. And then I'll give them some details because I know it will help them. So I'm going to give you this basic framework for a sales call. And you may have heard this before from me. If you are in any of Jason's groups, you probably heard this from Nick, but it cannot be overstated. This is how it is done. You do a very short, hey, how are you? I'm talking like 2 minutes or less of like, oh, so-and-so sent you to me. I'm so glad she did. She's so funny. Her dog's so cute, whatever. Like, then you get down to business. You just walked into the doctor's office. The doctor's going to say, all right, tell me about what brings you in today. That's that kind of directness. You assume the frame of you are a coach. You can help them. You have a solution. You have that like doctor's frame. Hey, I'm so glad we're on the phone today. Tell me a little bit more. When you said over DM, this was going on. I want to learn more about that. So tell me a little bit about what's going on. Immediately open that conversation. And your job for the next 15 minutes is to ask questions. and lead them on a journey of explaining the pain that they are in, the challenges that they're feeling, why these continue to be a challenge, what it would feel like for them to not have that anymore. They have to say that, and what it would be like to have something different. You cannot move on to telling them about your method, your program, your hologram coaching. You know, I don't care if you could hologram into their kitchen with them. Like, none of that matters until they have told you those things. They have to tell you what is hard right now, why it hasn't been changing for them, what success will look like. They have to say that. And even better, why they haven't been able to get there on their own. They have to like bridge that, and it has to come out of their mouth. So until you get those answers, you just keep asking. So you just say things like, so wait a minute, you just told me that you joined a gym last year. What happened? Make them connect those dots to explain, well, I did join, but you know, I just never got a chance to go. I never got to put in my schedule. And so like life just got busy and I quit. Now you know something about them. Like they don't, you know, you've got to get them to say that, like, oh, I haven't had any structure to commit. They have to imagine what it would feel like to have something different. So they're going to need to describe, man, I did a sales call today and I don't think I closed it, which is rare, but it was because she could not imagine what it would be like for her to achieve her goal. And when I asked her that question, she didn't know why she wanted it or what it would be like to get there. And to be honest, I don't want her to sign up then. We're not going to be successful. So it was an important question to ask. It wasn't about make the sale no matter what. I needed her to kind of visualize this and tell me. So once you've asked enough questions, and this usually takes about 15 minutes, it shouldn't take an hour, 15 to 20 minutes for you to get to the bottom of this, to understand where the person's coming from, what their challenges are. Then you ask permission. May I tell you about my program and how I think I can help you, or how I know I can help you, or how this will change you? You get to use your words, but you ask permission. Can I explain a little bit about how we can help? And they'll say yes. And then you get 4 or 5 minutes tops to connect the dots. So if you are someone that finds yourself being too wordy, this might be where you're missing it. Now, Jen, that means that when they're telling you the answers to the questions, you're not solving the problems for them. That's not what you're doing. So if they're like, I never eat breakfast, and I know that's probably a problem because maybe my metabolism's broken. Your job is not to say, well, I think if you started with blah, 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 that would probably work better for you. You know, so why don't you try doing X, Y, and Z with your breakfast? And say, that's coaching. So it's a different answer. Like you are just more probing, asking more questions to get to know them better, to understand what makes them tick. Why do they care? Why do they want to do this? What challenges are in their way? And so you're not solving their problems on the call. You're just understanding them better. Now, at the end, once you understand them better, this is where you really do get to help, because your offer for your program, if you've just asked them questions and you know that you can help them, you do not need to second guess it. It is with 100% confidence. If you were the doctor and you just listened to someone tell you all of their symptoms and you have a solution, you would not be timid about it. You would tell them, here's how we are going to start. I'm going to send you to the lab. We're going to pull some blood work on you. Then I'm going to have you come back again for an office visit. We'll review your lab work. I'm going to send you home with this skin cream for your butt rash. And then after that, we are going to meet every other week for the next 6 weeks until your butt rash goes away. and I'm going to have, so that is the confidence that the doctor would present you with, that you're like, thank God I'm here because my butt rash is going to go away. Like, just tell me how much. So that is how you deliver it. Now, say over the course of that 15 minutes, you do like what I did today. I didn't get the answers. I tried. She doesn't know. Well, you have two choices. And this is what I did today. I sent her with homework. I said, I want you to answer this question for me. And I'm going to text you tomorrow. I'm going to follow up with her and see if she can come up with a reason why we should do this at all. If she can, then she's going to sign up. If she can't, then she doesn't need to sign up. So if after you've asked them lots of good questions, you can use your professional coaching expertise to say, hey, like, I'm so glad we did this call today, but I actually don't think that you're the right fit for my program. But I know so-and-so who does exactly what you're looking for. And I want to link you up with them because they are a better fit. And then you get to feel that good feeling of you're not taking on a client that you're not going to crush it with. And that you get to send them to somebody who you know is the right fit. And at the end of the day, they're going to be so grateful you did that. It doesn't necessarily mean you won't get to work with them later. They're just going to be glad you were honest. And then you get to talk about that publicly. Hey, I don't just sign up anybody. I sign up people that I know I can help. I'm happy to turn people away who might not be the right fit. Does that help with a couple of the things that you guys wanted to hit? How to transition to the call, how to structure that call, how to not be too wordy or coach, and how to say no to a not ideal client. What happens too sometimes is when we say yes to a client that we know isn't ideal, we know it immediately. You just like get that gut feeling. You're like, this is not it. And then you start to not look forward to those conversations. It's like never ending, So better to create yourself a way that you feel confident to sort that out in the beginning. And the way that you can help yourself do that is to have some sort of maybe an application process, where you can learn some of those things in advance, even have a short list of referrals that are specialists in some of the categories that you're not a specialist in. Feel comfortable saying no, because it's not a scarcity world. There is enough clients out there for you. So it's better for you to say no and send someone to someone else than it is for you to take on that client. It's better for you to say no to a client that maybe shouldn't sign up with anybody because they're not ready and they don't want to do this. It's better for you to say no to that person than drain your energy that you need to focus on the people who are waiting for you. So I feel like that was like the most backwards teaching ever, because I'm like telling you how to not close a sale, but also how to close a sale. So all of these things go together. And once they are like, yes, I'm in, then that's a wrap. You're not coaching on the call. You're not doing that. That is the end of the conversation. You set up the next thing. So, hey, what I'm going to do is I'm going to shoot you a link. I want you to pay, and then you're going to get an email from me with your getting started instructions, fill out X, Y, and Z. And then we're going to schedule a call for next week to have your first coaching call. That's how that should go. Or you can take payment over the phone, whatever you need to do, but it should be very clear and easy. And if you really nailed the call, they won't even ask how much it is. That'll be when you know you crushed it, because they're so excited about what's to come. They understand how you're going to do it with your method. They are in. They're like, send me the link, I'm in. So that is the first piece, how to close sale. And then this actually transitions perfectly into the final part, which is how to maximize value for them. I think one of the things that we overlook as entrepreneurs and as people who are creating solutions is our willingness to ask questions at each step of the journey. So when you're creating something like your first offer, you should be polling your group and asking the things that they struggle with. When you have a sales conversation and someone does not sign up, it's okay to ask why. It's okay to send them a did not buy survey. So that's an easy way to do it that doesn't feel awkward. It's like you could make a little Google form that just says, great chatting with you today. I know that now, you've decided not to move forward with blah, 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 or you can phrase it however you want. If you could please help me by answering 2 or 3 questions, I would really appreciate it. And you could ask like, how long have you been thinking about making this change? Did you consider any other options? How long have you heard about my program? Is there anything that, could be different that would, change your circumstances? Did you choose not to do this because of budget, time constraint, blah, blah, blah. Just pick 2 or 3 questions that give you information. And what that does is it sets you up for a beginning of asking questions throughout your client journey. So maybe they say they just heard about you a week ago. Well, that's good. They didn't sign up because they're not ready yet. That means that they just need to stay in your universe longer. Maybe they didn't sign up because of budget, and now you know. Like maybe they didn't sign up because this was the first thing they looked at and they want to look at a lot of other things. Maybe they didn't sign up because there's a lot of reasons, but you're going to learn something from that did not buy survey. Then that brings us to Erin disappeared. Well, she's going to have to catch the replay to the answer to her question. What do you do at the end of a client contract or at the end of their time? I feel like this is, again, a place where you have to ask. So if you are willing to build or be creative, you should be aware of that deadline coming and starting to ask questions to understand what they need to maximize value for them. And like I talked about, it's not about making another sale. How do you get them further to their goal? How do you help them get to their goal faster? So maybe, for example, they've been in a group program. So they've been in a group program for 8 weeks. You're getting to the end of the 8 weeks and you're like, ruh-roh, all my 8-week program people are about to leave. What am I going to do? Well, if you are in good communication with them and you've been paying attention, you should have a good idea of what they need to get closer to their goal, or maybe to get to their goal faster. So for example, if they've been in an 8-week program and you say, well, like, I know that I can help you get to your goal faster if we work together one-on-one. I saw you participate in this group. Imagine what we could do together when you have my, undivided attention and I can guide you through my method. We can get there faster. So I want to offer you, as a special part of being in my 8-week program, the opportunity to do 6 months of one-on-one coaching with me. And we'll take what you've learned and we're going to build off of it together. And then their goal, I want to lose 30 pounds. At the end of the 6 months, we will achieve blah, 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 or you will be in this place. But you're essentially paying attention to what they actually want and need, and then making them an offer to do that. If you can't help them anymore, don't make them an offer. Maybe you only know how to do a cartwheel and you've taught them how to do a cartwheel. They're doing cartwheels. That's great. Be happy about them doing cartwheels and tell them they're done. You are doing cartwheels now. Like, let's take a picture together. I'm so proud of you. Like, tell everyone that I taught you how to do this. Like, but if they want to do a backflip and now they know how to do a cartwheel, then yes, make them an offer to get them to the backflip. I don't know if that answers Erin's question, but I hope so. In the way that you know the answer is just by asking them. When I built my first group program, at the end of it, people were like, now what? I didn't have anything else. That was all I had built. So then I was like, what do you think? I thought to myself, what would be helpful for them to get to their goals? So then I asked them, would you guys be interested in another program? I just asked the group. If I built you a program that helped you understand how to read food labels and like understand macros better and know, would you be interested? Yes. And I was like, okay, I built it. Let's go. And I built it with them. Essentially, I was only a couple weeks ahead of them, but I knew I could. I knew how to do it. I wasn't like bullshitting. It wasn't built yet until I had asked them, and I made that offer to like create that for them. At the end of it, same question. Like, what else do you guys need? And I understood it. And then I built that. So I asked questions and I knew that I could help them get to their results. And that's why I filled the blank with another offer. But it feels uncomfortable. I'm just going to call it what it is. It's uncomfortable to ask people those questions at the end of a client relationship if the communication hasn't been there the whole time. So if you want the privilege of making another offer and you want the privilege of getting their direct feedback to you of how you can help them, you better be in contact with them during the initial thing. You better have shown up in your Facebook group, regularly. You better have if they signed up for your 8-week program, you better have said hi to them in person, over message or something a couple of times. You have to actually do the work for the relationship, and then you earn the right to ask them those questions and make another offer. So it's really good motivation when you're like, I'm having a hard time being consistent with my challenge. I haven't been in there or something. That's your reason why you need to get in there so that you can make the offer at the end and understand them. So my key to maximizing value is to ask your clients questions and understand what they're missing. How can you get them to the results faster? And then build them something that does that. To take them from point A to point D, to sitting on the couch to a cartwheel. And so there's going to be a lot of different ways you can do it. And that can feel intimidating, but it should also feel really exciting, because that's why we're doing this. You wanted to be a coach, you wanted to create an online business, you wanted to do this so that you could insert your perspective, so that you could create a way. So this is how you do it, and you should get excited about it and know that this is where you get to try and really make a difference for people by asking them questions. It's not about selling them things. It's about delivering them value. So let's spend the last 5 minutes or so talking back and forth about these stuff. What did I hit that you want to talk more about? What questions do you have?
Christy, I have a question when it comes to I think I mentioned in my email, sell them on what they want and give them what they need. I think I kind of sometimes get caught up in that in a way. Clients being like, I want to lose weight and I want to get toned, but I want to get stronger. I want to build muscle and lose weight, right? Or lose body fat at the same time. And aside from getting caught up in the wordiness or that education, the coaching in the consult, what would you say in regards to that if they are a fit, but what they need isn't potentially what they're expressing they want? Does that make sense?
Right. I think a lot of people get stuck on this when it comes to mindset stuff. When somebody has a terrible mindset and that that's going to be actually key for them, but they're not going to sign up for a mindset program so I think the way to think about it is I wouldn't sell them what they want if it's out of alignment with your values or what you know to be true. That is not going to feel good or work for you in the long run. In fact, you can talk about that, what I would think of is if you can think of what they want as a series of steps, perhaps. So maybe what they want, at the end of the day is to like live without having, doing yo-yo diets. And that there's going to be mindset stuff that happens. They're going to have to build muscle for a season. They're going to have to like do all of these things. Think about what those first couple of wins could be. What are the first wins that you can get to your client or your future client? And then that should be compelling. You know what I mean? And that part I feel like can be what they want. And what they need is this big picture thing. So you can't sell them the whole big picture. It's too much. But I would sell them something like legitimately that you can offer them as wins. Does that help? Okay. And talk about the stuff that makes you feel uncomfortable, like that is bananas. What other questions do you guys have?
So I think this is along the same lines as what Erin was asking earlier, where, we're not necessarily, I don't have a group program I'm selling, but as I'm coming up on like 2 months, when's the good time to be trying? My program's 3 months long, or that's what I sell is 3 months. So at what point in that 3 months is it good to go into that conversation about extending for another 3 months or 6 months? Or even when is a good time to start thinking about just making my program longer? Now, is that when I'm starting to feel more comfortable selling the 3 months? Because at that point, I should be able to consider and talk about selling for 6 months at a higher price point easier because I'm more comfortable at the 3 month lower dollar. That's kind of why I'm stuck in the 3 months right now, is because I think it's easier to talk about a $500 package versus $1,000 or $1,500 package.
Are they where they want to be yet?
No.
Have they moved closer?
Yes.
Then that's all you need to point out to them. So you need to pre-frame that conversation. So maybe you talk to them every 2 weeks. So you're going to tell them, like, as you're getting close to that last call. So maybe the call before, you're going to tell them, hey, on our next call, we are going to specifically look at all of the things you've accomplished over the last 12 weeks. And then we're going to talk about the things that you still know you need to work on. And we're going to make a game plan moving forward. They know it's coming. So then on that call, it's kind of like another consult call. You're just asking them, tell me all the wins that you've had. Let them convince themselves and then connect the dots. Say, okay, like you're down 8 pounds. Like I know you wanted to lose 25, but think about those 8 pounds. You've been able to keep it off through blah, 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 blah. And we did it with more food. You didn't even think that was possible. So then you say, are you happy with where you are right now? Do you feel great about this point, or do you want to continue to work towards your goal? So you just have them re-establish what that next goal is. And if you can help them, then you get to offer to help them. And
that's kind of what I did.
Yeah. And
already.
Suggest it like a doctor would. Hey, think about it that way. You've done awesome, but I think we're going to need another 3 months to get you to where you want to be. So I recommend that we continue to work together for the next 3 months, and we're going to take those 8 pounds and we're going to turn them into 20.
Thank you.
Does that help? That little pre-frame makes a big difference. You can also build systems into your business that help do this for you. So for example, like if you do a periodic Google form, like check-in, where they get to like rate how well they're doing towards their goal, that can be really helpful, because then they've already done this in their heads for you, and then you're just reviewing it with them. That can be a really good way to approach it that way. It's also a good time to evaluate if they are doing the things that they need to do to create those results. So maybe like they've been inconsistent with filling out their tracker. You get to kind of give them that coach love in that conversation and say, listen, like, I know you want to get all the way to where you want to be, but I'm going to need you to fill out your tracker. And that's important for us to establish before we move forward. Like, can I have your commitment that as we continue to go from here, we can do this. I think that's also a really good benchmark thing. How do you help them get to their results better? Sweet. All right, guys. So we are at that 45-minute mark. And as promised, I'm going to stick to the time. Yes, I will get you guys replays if you don't have them. You should have gotten an email with like thought homework the other 2 days. And if you reply to those emails to me, then I will reply back. I want to read your answers. I put the link in the chat box to schedule that mentorship and call with me. And like we discussed, it's going to be a value call for you. I want to help you implement these strategies in your business. And then if it makes sense, I will help you take those next step forward, whether that's with me or whether that's just pointing you in the right direction for what you need next. And so definitely schedule a call for us to talk. And this has been super fun. I have enjoyed every single bit of this workshop and talking with you guys. So thank you for being here and spending the time with me. All right, guys. I will see you all soon. Have a wonderful evening and take care.